From the movie franchise that gave you fast cars and even more furious cars, and the developers of classics like Red Bull Air Race the game, comes a movie game that returns to the traditional style of games based on film franchises by being incredibly bad. Fast and Furious Crossroads. Rediscover an age where every movie had a mediocre tie-in game for parents to unknowingly curse their children with, creating some timelessly terrible games like Charlie's Angels, Smurf Dance Party, and the Shrek fighting game. An era that only ended when people finally stopped buying them and developers had to wise up and just slap together a knockoff mobile game instead. As Fast and Furious Crossroads relives the follies of the past in a driver knockoff with exactly none of the campy joy of the films, that focuses on a handful of brand new characters so that they could cut costs on recording sessions, that you'll spend way too much time watching cutscenes about, on your way to your next excuse to drive 120 in a school zone, while you contemplate why they would inflict this suffering on the very people who love this franchise enough to spend $60 on a video game of it. But come on, it's clear no one gives a f*** anymore, and you brought Han back. Nothing is real, everything is permitted. Crash into the slick criminal underground of the Fast and Furious-averse in the not-so-slick PS3-era textures of Fast and Furious Crossroads, as 3 whole members of the actual cast reprise their roles in horrible skin-suit representations of themselves. Michelle Rodriguez got done particularly dirty. Then play as 2 random characters that end up helping Interpol fight international crime syndicates, because they also race cars good, I guess, as they get roped into stopping Peter Stormare's plan to destroy the American defense grid through a sequence of chases that all could have been resolved much more quickly if they had used anything but cars, in a narrative that feels like it's constantly ducking and weaving to give itself more reasons to be a video game. There isn't even that much family. I'm gonna need at least 3 times more family.
So I'm not gonna blow up?
Smash yourself into literally everything in front of you, in driving mechanics that feels like driving a car in a dream after you took a bunch of NyQuil, as you fight for control of your vehicle constantly, with rides that handle like the Flintstones car driven by a guy having a seizure, where almost all of your drifting will send you directly into the wall, none of which really matters because all of your cars are apparently built out of no crashium, as you repeatedly take down reinforced armored vehicles with your Honda Civic hatchback, and plow into oncoming traffic with little to no consequences. Then swap between different speed racer powers that will have you hacking, EMPing, grappling, and using those weird gladiator wheel blades from James Bond, that will have you chasing your targets to get within range to do a stupid timing or button mashing minigame, while they constantly throw a bunch of cars to smash into you, in absurd gameplay that occasionally feels like the movies until you crash into 5 more trucks. At least one thing that this game does really well is checkpoints. It's like even the developers knew that no one should have to play this game any more than they have to. After you've made it through the maybe 5-hour story mode, dive into the multiplayer, which presumably makes up the other $40 of this full-priced game, as you choose from a handful of cars among the large roster that they believed you'd actually spend the time to unlock. Then get placed into one of 3 teams, heroes, villains, and police, and fight for control, or if you're a cop, just kind of act like a dick to everyone, in matches that start off like a watered-down Twisted Metal, then screech to a halt as players try to fight for an area the size of a Wendy's parking lot, in one of the strangest games of bumper cars that has the audacity to call itself a multiplayer, on the bold assumption that you'll even find the other 8 people to actually play a game. Spoilers, you probably won't. So put the pedal to the metal and get ready to hit that NOS for one of the most lackluster experiences that video games have to offer. That's not even really worth a good laugh if someone hated you enough to get you this game, because its biggest flaw isn't the poor design or unruly controls. It's just that it's boring as f***. Starring da-dum-da-dum-dum-dum, we have Michelle Rodriguez at home, Janelle Monáe, Krillin, big ass forehead, and someone who really didn't need to do this. Don't buy, I'm serious, long loads. You know, if you really have to make these, just give us a Hobbs and Shaw game. That way you could play as The Rock and have him swing Statham around like a claymore. Tell us what you'd like to hear in my honest voice in the comments below. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? I still remember the last thing my grandpa said before he kicked the bucket. He said, "Hey y'all, watch me kick this bucket." It's a giant worm. They're sinking cities with a giant worm. If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?